getting better and better. Decisions.
Hello, it's me now, my face, at least. I hope you enjoyed all that. I'm sure you could tell that, basically, during it, I was literally figuring out how I was going to do it. And that's because I typically do this on my laptop. I know, brilliant. That should change when I get a PC. That'll make things a lot easier on for this kind of thing. But in this case, I realized that an Xbox controller, is actually a lot easier to do this with, because I can basically just keep it continuously, you would notice, just continuously moving around, especially when going through them like this. It actually really helped. But apart from that, and also there were like other little weird bits. It's like, and obviously I'm not going to have every framework, for example, like the new one, on most weapons, because otherwise this isn't going to come out in a timely manner, is it? Let's be honest. So I kind of just need to do it, even though I don't have literally everything at my disposal. But yeah, that was the showcase for the Relic Raiders DLC. The video's over, by the way. These videos don't have typical outros. I'm not going to be telling you to subscribe. Typically, it would have just normally been just all that footage you just witnessed. So I hope this doesn't taint that in any way. I don't see why it would. I want to be able to give my thoughts on DLC in the video as well, which I think I have done, but not consistently necessarily. But yeah, I have to talk about it now. And I think my opinion on this DLC is actually warmed with doing this. So literally the last 40 minutes of me just going through all that stuff, I actually like it more than I did. I'm still going to have some mixed things to say about it and DLCs in general, but on the whole I think it's really good. I don't think there's been any point where I've questioned Ghost Ship truly for their business practices. Deep Rock has and always will be a very fairly priced game, more than bang for your buck. So and there is a very large pool of high quality cosmetics to earn in game as well. And you put those two things together, you arguably only need the first thing, the fact that the game is content complete and only has cosmetic DLC. That alone is pretty much enough for them to give them the right to make as much cosmetic DLC as they want, kind of. But I think we can be a bit more. I think we can be a bit more scrutinizing than that. That's not a particularly. That's quite a liberating lens to put the game through, that they can just make whatever they want and charge as much as they want for it, as long as it's not gameplay. Especially because in a lot of ways, a gameplay DLC isn't even like the worst idea anymore. I mean, look, in terms of DLC, Deep Rock's only ever had two arguable controversies. The first one is Decontaminator, which is one of the frameworks. It literally got... Yeah, it got so heavily criticised when it was first shown that Ghost Ship decided to basically rework it. They upped the ante on the paint job and the overall design of the frameworks to make it more worthy of being a DLC. And I think that says something. And the other controversy is just generally Rogue Call's existence, because it was originally going to be a paid expansion. And that's the point. I think a paid expansion is still something I wouldn't mind seeing, even with Rogue Call's existence. Obviously, it would be different to whatever Rogue Call was going to be as an expansion, but I actually don't hate the idea of a gameplay DLC at all. It's just the point was, the reason why they were okay with making Rogue Call's DLC in the first place, because it wasn't going to be like a biome or a mission or like mutated weapons or anything. It's going to be a pretty distinct game mode, you know, something like deep dives, like a new thing that is on the scale of deep dives that is paid. I think is actually like not a horrible idea at all. I think it's actually a fairly good idea, especially because as time goes on, DLC is going to get a bit more tired. And as far as I know, this DLC, Relic Raider, is entirely from Invisible Walls, the new developer for Deep Rock. And so as far as the first showing goes, I think it's actually very, very strong. But I still want to hit something pretty hard, which is like, it's good, and I don't mind paying for it, but it's kind of more along the lines of what a free armor should have been for this season. It obviously is very strongly themed with the season. Excuse me. And isn't crazy. It's not like, well, Dawn of the Dread's a bit weird, but it's not like Dawn of the Dread. It's not like Skull Crusher, Dark Future, Order of the Deep. I think these are ones that truly justify it. I think we have some that don't. I think Roughneck is a bit weird. I think there's always been a bit of a weird element of them taking something that maybe should have been just part of the season's own content, like the idea of the cosmetic tree just having at each end, so sort of around these points, like in the corners, an armor set for each of the dwarves. I still kind of think that maybe that is how it should be. I don't think I certainly don't think it's a bad idea. So it does feel a little bit weird that you can say that, or I can say that and feel pretty convinced by what I'm saying. And that some of the DLCs probably, arguably, should have just been in-game. The only difference is, or the caveat is, what I've already mentioned, is that they have the right to make as much paid content as they want that isn't gameplay, because that seems to be the promise that they've made, just through their habits. And there's no problem with just, like, they could make something infinitely less valuable than this and still charge for it, and it wouldn't technically be a problem because it's just cosmetics, so it's kind of weird. But what I am worried about specifically is saturation of armor. We've gotten an armor DLC 3 times in a row now, so that's season 5. The rather probably not really justified in making, but also very, very good Skull Crusher DLC, and now Relic Raider, and that's been 3 armor sets added into. Now season 5, of course, did bring. To be fair to season 5, it brought an armor set in game, the Mark 5 armor. It also added 2 frameworks, both with the season framework and the dice The danger dice framework, obviously a very, very simple framework, but adding that into the cargo rates as well. But we've gone 3 armor DLCs in a row, and there's only 4 framework DLCs in total anyway. Armor DLCs that you can see here, there's 8 compared to 4. There's twice the amount. And I like the frameworks. I mean, you look at Rival Tech, right? You look at Rival Tech and GSG Guardian. Fantastic stuff. Like, genuinely, these are more than worth their money. I really like the framework DLCs because you get sort of what I feel like is a more focused brushing up of like weapon designs, and I think it just feels really cool because you get that, you get the weapon framework, you get the paint job, you get the armor paint job. It is overall probably a little bit less content than an armor DLC, really, but probably not either. I mean, think how many weapons there are, give frameworks too. But then again, also on this DLC's side, it went through the effort of adding 4 hats, 4 headpieces, which I think is really cool. I can't remember how many. I think it's hold on, let's have a look. Yeah, so the only one that isn't uniform is the leather hat, which is the one that justifies it the most, I think, just staying the same colour. All the others change with your paint job, so that's good as well. And I don't really know why I ever suspected that they were doing something like 1 headgear per class. It did look like that from the trailer, but I wouldn't, you know, that was just their way of showcasing all 4 of them, so it's probably a bit of unfair of me to even really suggest. But thank God that's not the case. So they added 4 headgears. And yeah, like I said, I do think the armors are really nice. I think Engineers is quite good, especially. Weirdly enough, Engineers is like almost better as soon as you start putting other paint jobs on it. Like, I had one, it was this. This is kind of the look I had. And let's find quickly, put it back. It's also a new headgear that I used for it. So it should literally be the only thing. Oh, not the only thing I have. This was a guy that I made. Who I'm going to try and keep now. I don't know exactly what weapons he's going to have, although it might actually conflict a little bit with this idiot, but I don't care. He's got to have Salt Crystal. He's got to have it. Salt Crystal, and I guess hopefully the new framework as well. But yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Yeah, so I think the armors are really nice. Let's take a look at the other ones in a bit closely. I think Gunner's is actually really good. Gunner is really difficult because he always begs to be sort of bigger in scope. I mean, look at that. I guess Roughneck is the only time he wasn't, but there's still a distinct vibe there, the more militaristic vibe. But I really like him. He's got the leather jacket. I think it works really well with a lot of paint jobs. One that I sort of picked up on especially was actually Speckled Predator, because I really like the way it colours the jacket, and that ends up going really nicely with the new. Was I using one of these? I'm not sure. I think I probably wasn't actually. I don't remember what I was using in my headgear for this guy, but I don't think it was in the DLC. But either way, oh no, I remember. Sorry, I'm gonna try and find it. I apologize. Come on, they need to load in. This is the problem. There's so many headgear that don't load in immediately at all. But I do remember what I was using. Have I gone past it? Well, yes, I have. Where is it? Hello? 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 There. Sort of like a, you know, desert aviator. I don't know. And then, of course, diesel driven. This is fantastic. I love this. The thing is, the framework, honestly, I would almost call the framework more deserving of being the DLC than the armor. This Bulldog is absolutely fantastic. In fact, so far, I would say all of them have been. All of the weapons I've seen in this framework, really good. So they actually did a really good job there. Scout, I actually like Scout even. The Scout was the one I picked up on the most from actually doing this, and what I liked about it. I think it's because it uses the secondary color very boldly, and I like that. Like, as in it's dominated quite. Actually, no, I think this is technically the primary color, but it's just more of it than you're used to, and I quite like that. But it's not too complicated. It does have the forced color ropes crossing him, but I think that actually works in this case. And then Driller, I think Driller kind of drew the short straw a little bit. I don't find this armor I think it responds quite well to paint jobs, especially that you got something like that, which I think is what I was going for originally. So something with those hazard lines. Where did he go? What the hell? I've lost it. What? What? Yeah, there. What the hell? Yeah, I think it works really well. Actually, was that even the one I was using? Oh no, it's that one. Okay. I think it works quite well with paint jobs, but I don't think it's particularly spectacular either. In fact, Driller, I mean, it's a little bit like that a lot of the time. I think he's got some really good ones. I think his Skull Crusher is fantastic. It might actually be the best one. This might be better than Gunner's, like the massive chains and the skull. It's pretty fantastic. And his Dawn of the Dread is probably the best as well. But it's weird. And I kind of need to talk about the paint job as well. The paint job, I think, so let's give credit to, well, the pickaxe isn't anything special really. Let's be honest. It's a very standard paint job, and I think that's kind of, well, paint job's kind of where they've lost me the most. Bosco, I think, looks quite good. Obviously, you probably noticed me find this paint job works quite well, but the weapon paint jobs, it's not a bad paint job at all, but I don't think it's DLC worthy. I think this is something they've actually gotten mostly pretty correct. I think Robot Rebellion and Roughneck maybe under-deliver a little bit, and maybe Rival Tech as well, maybe. But the rest of them, I would say generally, even Decontaminator, generally, yeah, pretty good. I mean, there's quite a few, so there's going to be some misses, like even Biohazard. And which is to say, I don't mind grouping in with those and saying that maybe these are all these weapon paint jobs aren't the most DLC worthy. But then again, it's like, how far do you want to go? But at the same time, my approach to, if I was making these, which I'm not, believe it or not, if I was making these, my approach would be to make any part of the DLC sort of something that could draw someone in to buy it. And I don't think anyone's buying this DLC for the weapon paint job, to be honest. And I would want these to be made with the intention that the paint job could be enough for you to buy it because it's just that good, but it's not. So that might sound a little bit arbitrary as criticism, because it's just like, oh, so you just don't like the paint job that much. And it's like, well, yeah, kind of. I think overall it's good, and I don't have a problem with the pricing at all. As in, I don't think the prices have ever been unfair for these things, but there's a lot of DLC now, and, well, let's just say, I think it's fair to say that Season 7 should definitely be a framework DLC, but I think in general it's just a case of more armor added in-game is a fair desire. I mean, when they've done it, it's actually been very good, because obviously we started with the basic ones, and it went up to like Mark 5, and they're all pretty good. And then eventually we got Scale Brigade, which is fantastic, genuinely, maybe the best armor in the game, and also the Mark 6, which is also very good. And so when they've done it, it's hit very well, but there's just not much of it, of stuff that's purely in game, except unless you count Lederhosen, which you shouldn't. These outfits, I like that they serve a purpose. No reason to not have them paintable, though. Absolutely no reason. There's no justification for that. If someone tried to tell me that it was, I would probably hit them. Which I know is not a very, very substantial threat, but I also am telling the truth. Even if it was from Ghost Ship, if they were like, actually, there's a good reason. No, you're getting decked, because there's no reason. There's no reason to reduce customizability. The customization restriction Unlimiter mod has shown that these things are color mapped. Oh, that might be a part of the mod, I should apologize. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure these things are texture mapped, so they could easily just, every paint job would just fit onto them just by, it's just like that. I don't know. But the DLC, I mean, what do I want to give it a rating? I mean, we've done DLC ratings before, I'm pretty sure. B, I think. Possibly even a low B, but I do think they've got some good stuff here. I think the addition of Bosco Framework as a standard for DLCs now, that's both with the last two as well, is good, and also adding in 4 headgears is good. I just don't find them the most flashy and deserving of being a DLC compared to what's like in the upper tiers of DLCs, and I think the paint jobs are fairly weak as well. I think the concept is very good, and I think the armors are still good. They're just about not really DLC worthy, in my opinion. I think there's enough good here to warrant it being like something you shouldn't, like, I'm not saying you should boycott Ghost Ship for making a DLC that isn't like crazy good, or in this case Invisible Walls. I'm just saying this isn't like mind-blowing at all. It's just sort of pretty good. But I think that's where I'm going to leave it. So like I said, no standard outro for these, but I do want to talk quickly about what's coming up. Next week is going to be a weird video, sort of like a biome ambience walkthrough kind of thing. I don't really know how to describe it apart from that. You'll see when it comes out. I hope it's good. And then after that, Overclock showcases will resume with custom casings for the Zukovs. Obviously, technically been preparing for that for a while. I haven't literally been playing a mission every day with it or anything. It's been put on hold from doing Season 6 related stuff. And also, we'll say after that point, I reserve the right for Overclock Showcase to basically flip between upload frequency because it's my series. But I always will try and maintain regularity and maintain the Tuesday release day. But I'm going to be changing back to doing them every other week. That, I think, is... well, it's kind of necessary because I don't quite play Deep Rock enough and don't quite want to for as much as doing them every week entails to have a really thorough outlook on 2 distinct builds for any given overclock. Especially as you get further into the overclocks I haven't really used as well. I have less time than I used to from actually having a job. And there's more other there's other games I want to play. It just makes more sense. There's not enough of an incentive for me to do it literally every week, but I still want to be doing it consistently. So that will start again in 2 weeks from today. That will come out, but then there will be every other week after that. And that also gives me much more flexibility for other videos to come out. Instead of like postponing one, the pace at which I put them out allows for another video like this to be made and put in between just as easily. Like the Electrominus video, which will happen, I swear. I am working on it. It's just like, it's not like a... That's weird. It's almost like a background thing, but it's not really a passion project. I know that I want to do it, but I'm not like doing it. I don't know. It's weird. But that's it. And I'll see you, well, hopefully sooner than a week for some kind of news would be nice. But I don't know. We'll just wait and see. I don't think it's going to be super soon that we hear about Season 7. Shouldn't be thinking about that just yet anyway. The only reason I say things like that is because I'm trying to be pretty effusive about the agenda, that it will be a lot sooner than the last 2 season gaps. Obviously, I that's the only reason I bring up Season 7 a lot, is because I am trying to implant a meta narrative that is going to come out in the 3rd quarter of this year. At latest, early quarter 4, so October at latest. Because otherwise, I think they're slipping if they don't quite hit that. Because it's got to come out after Road Core. I respect that, but it shouldn't be Ghost Ship working on it anyway. It should be Invisible Wars. So we'll see. But yeah, like I said, no normal outro, so I'm just going to see you soon. Thanks again for watching.